So Saturday night, two of Britain's best heavyweight contenders will do battle in London. 26 fights between them, 24 wins by knockout. Big silver medalist Joe Joyce and Daniel Dubois will do battle at Church House in Westminster for the British, European and Commonwealth titles. And Carl and I think we were both a little bit nervous, if I'm honest, because this is, to us, this is boxing royalty that we are joined by this afternoon. The most recognisable laugh in world sport. The former WBC heavyweight champion as well, Frank Bruno. What a pleasure it is to have you. Thank you so much for your time, Frank.
Cheers. Thank you very much, boss. Nice to see you, Carl, there, boss. I know you. I've watched you loads of fights, man. You're a good warrior. Sorry, Mr. Microphone, check one.
Can I say something first, just before we start? I've obviously been around boxing events and stuff, and I've never actually met you. And you're always someone that I wanted to have met, and I've been disappointed that I haven't up until now. So I'm delighted to be able to talk to you.
Respect, boss. Nice to see you. God bless you, family. Cheers, boss. Thank you.
Same here. So Frank, you were in an era of huge British fights. Yourself and Lewis, Chris Eubank, and your friend Nigel Benn. How pleased are you to see two young warriors like Daniel Dubois and Joe Joyce taking such a high-risk fight on Saturday?
I've done some work with Dubois, and he's a very, very lovely guy. You know what I mean? Joe Joyce is a very big 8.5 stone lump, and he does all somersaults and all different things. And he's a very good fighter. He's a spoiler, and he's not a heavy puncher, but he could grind you down with his pace. He's a high tech, so it's a very, very risky fight for both. But it would be a good explosive while it lasts.
Yeah, Carl, I think a lot of people are picking Daniel early, but if this goes past the midpoint, it's got to get tough for him, isn't it?
I think that's what the people are saying. Yeah, either Daniel early or Joe late, but that's kind of sitting on the fence, isn't it? It's one or the other. But it's really interesting. I think it's caught the public's imagination, and we haven't seen this from an all-British heavyweight clash in a long time. Yeah.
So, Frank, when you were on the way up as a youngster, you won your first 21 fights by knockout. And Daniel Dubois has had a similar start to his career. When you do come up against a big, strong heavyweight, like you did with Bone Crusher Smith, and you get dragged into a difficult fight late, how tough is that first experience as a young heavyweight?
It was a very weird experience, because sometimes you can't really, when you're knocking them over, and you don't get carried away. I never got carried away, but you have to know what it's like to go the fourth round, the fifth round, or if you try to hit someone for the best and he stands there and laughs at you. And sometimes the early opponents may go down, but as you go up in stage, they get you a tougher fighter. And the Bone Crusher Smith was the best thing that could have happened to me, lose to him, because if I would have beaten him, I would have been chucked into the lions then. And I only had 21 amateur fights. So I was known as a novice, and I was nursed along. But Bone Crusher Smith was a blessing in disguise for me to go back to the drawing board and learn how to pace myself, to take my time. I'm not a natural boxer. I'm an ugly boxer to watch, but I've got determination and willpower, and that brought me through to get the world championship.
Because Joe Joyce is sometimes criticised for not having the most attractive style, but we know how effective he is. You don't have the amateur sort of pedigree and the medals that he's got at world and Olympic level if you can't fight. Do you think...
He beat the Russian guy. You know that this Russian guy was going up to cruiserweight, and he fought Chichora the other day.
Yeah, he fought in the WSB. Yeah, it was a good fight.
Tournament. Yeah, that was he did it, but the Russian guy was like a fly bouncing around him, and Joe Joyce couldn't keep up with him. But he's a good fighter, Joe Joyce. He's very, very experienced, and you know what I mean, knows what he wants, and he's got cricket balls. You know what I mean? Dubois is he's a very special guy, but I just wish the best man wins.
I have a feeling that this fight, and obviously people are saying that it's either early from Dubois or Joe Joyce will grind him down in the second half. Now, I've been speaking to a lot of guys who have seen them spar each other on the GB setup, albeit Dubois was a young boy. He was only 17, 18, 19 when these sparring sessions happened, but all these guys are picking Joyce. and I've went for Dubois. I have a feeling Joyce gets hit too clean, although he's very tough. I think Dubois is going to get him.
A lot of sense there. When someone's 18, it's different to be 18 than what he is now. But I think Gordon, the guy that Ricky Hatton's got, the heavyweight, Gordon.
Oh, Nathan Gorman, yeah.
Nathan Gorman, he was saying that the same thing when we was in the camp. We were doing this, I got the better of you. But he's trying to use psychology against your opponent to get him on the back foot, if you dig what I'm saying. But I make it right, sir. You may be right there. It's a different cup of tea when you're 18 to when you're 22 or 23. Yeah.
I mean, Frank, one of your key weapons throughout your career was your jab. And we know Joe Joyce is going to be the bigger, heavier man in there, and he's going to be pressing the action at points. When you came up against some of the bigger guys, like somebody like Jumbo Cummings, how important is the jab in these big fights to break up the rhythm of those bigger guys, especially when they're trying to press you and push forwards?
It's important to try and keep the jab away, but Jumbo Cummings nearly knocked me out in one round. And every time I hear that name, I need counselling from somebody, you know what I mean? Because that round, I feel, sometimes you go in a fight and someone just punch you in the temple, you don't know where you are. But that made Harry was interviewing that me after that fight, because I got him in the 7th round, and he goes, Frank, that was a good punch he caught you with. And I said, what punch was that, Harry? I was away with the theories, man, in cuckoo land. But thank God I won it. But it's a tester.
I tell you something, and a lot of heavyweights, I don't know if you would agree with me, Frank, but sometimes heavyweights neglect going to the body. And I think it's something that Dubois has done a lot recently. I've seen that he's changed. He started to go to the body a lot. His punch variety is brilliant.
Very, very brilliant. That's what I say. He's got so much variation for a heavyweight upstairs, and he flows it so naturally to the body. You know what I mean? He puts a lot of meaning behind that. He's a young kid. He's still got a lot of maturity to go through, but I hope they don't rush him, because having all these titles, they just put you in a corner, learn his trade the right sort of way, because the punch would never take it away from him, and the skills, what he's learning, and he's a nice kid.
I guess in your day, Frank, the European and the Commonwealth and the British title, they meant a little bit more because there were fewer titles around, and so those fights happening really meant something. This fight Saturday is obviously for the Commonwealth, European and the British title. It's actually one of the first fights in recent years for some sort of national titles and European titles that really means something, and he's brought a bit back to what it means to be the European champion and the British champion.
That's nice. I was the European champion. I didn't go for the British title. I wish I did. Gary Mason was there and Horace noticed, and then I had to put food on the table. So Terry sort of like jugged it around a little bit. But I can understand what you say. It makes sense.
Yeah.
The European title's been something that's been kind of forgotten about. Like people, all these kind of WBO European title and these kind of sanctioning bodies bring in, but the blue European EBU title is the one, so it's nice to have it involved in this fight.
It's good. I won the European Championship, so I do know what you mean.
Yeah, and you had a few cracks at the world title as well, Frank, as we know.
Oh my God, more than a cat.
But I know that when you fought Lennox, you always said that it was about the title, of course it was, but there was a huge amount of pride at stake because you're in this all British battle at heavyweight. And what does that add to a fight like this on Saturday in terms of the pressure that the two guys will be feeling?
You're always going to get pressure in the boxing match. You know what I mean? You're always going to get pressure in the changing room. You're always going to get pressure leading up to the fight. You're always going to get pressure when the bell goes. You know what I mean? After the fight, you're bumped up here and beaten up and whatever. And sometimes you ask yourself, why am I going to do it? But we're doing it for our families. We're doing it for someone to be a legend, someone to make a lot of money. But it's the most difficult, hardest game in the world. So I take my hat off to anybody going for any sort of title or wanting to go through the ropes. Because people admire boxing, understand it. You get M&A coming in and doing this and the devil knows what, but boxing is a very, very hard game, And I really take my hat off to anybody that's got enough cricket balls to go through them ropes or go in the training camp, keep away from their families. It's a hard game. And all the money that they're getting, they deserve to get money because boxing is a hard game. Some say it's a barbaric sport. Some say gangsters and all that business, but it's a nice, hard game, one-on-one. You never get a harder sport than boxing. And I remember in my days, when I first started boxing, it was 15 rounds.
Oh, yeah, of course. Mad. The one thing both of you guys have had throughout your careers is an amazing crowd supporting you in those big fights. And I know when things get difficult, sometimes that can just help you on. It's going to be tough without a crowd, this, Frank, isn't it, for these guys? Because they would have expected when this fight was made to have been boxing in front of maybe 15, perhaps 20,000. And there's only going to be 50 or so people in that place.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? They've got to concentrate not on the 50 people who was out there, on the guy in front of him who was to punch your head off. So no matter what crowd, he ain't got both of them ain't got no business with the crowd. It's very, very important. It's been cancelled so many times that I spoke to Dubois the other day, and he goes that he just wants to get it all over because he's been training, cancelled, training, cancelled, training. So he's happy to get it on.
Yeah, no, it's a relief, isn't it, Carl, that it's finally upon us, eh?
Yeah, it is. And I think you have to give credit to, well, both boys for taking it so early in their career. Also the fact that there isn't going to be a crowd, but also to Frank Warren and the BT for putting on this fight and not putting it on pay-per-view. There's been lesser quality pay-per-view fights recently, let's just say that, and to have a fight of this quality on BT Sport, it's very good.
I like the accent, man, the Irish accent, very good. All right.
It's not a bad one, Frank.
Sorry.
The other fight overnight will be Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. I can't imagine you expected to hear that at the beginning of the year, Frank.
At the end of the day, you know what I mean, I'm not too sure. Maybe there's an exhibition, but you know what I mean, I'm sure for 4 rounds or 3 rounds, 2 minutes each round, they can get a few million for that. That's very good.
I mean, you're a man is kept in great shape throughout your life. How impressed are you at the shape that Tyson has managed to whip him into?
I haven't really seen his shape. I've been on the move, and I'm not very technical on the old YouTube and bits and pieces, but I see him training a little bit. He looks like he was sweating a lot or whatever. You know what I mean? I see him jabbing, and he let down, he's opened up for a left hand. But yeah, he never gets to the Mike Tyson that he was, but his name is very big still. Roy Jones is very, very big. And let them don't get hurt, make some money, bring it home to their family.
Is it something that interests you, Frank? Because you've stayed in such great shape. I could easily imagine you going ahead with one of these exhibitions and fighting another legend. Is it something that interests you?
Yeah. If the money was right, man, I'd be interested. Yeah, if the money was right and the VAT paid and covered, yeah, definitely. But
yeah, why not?
If I say that to you, you know what I mean, it gets blown out of proportion.
Yeah,
Frank says he's going to make a comeback or whatever. I keep myself, I run with hand weights, I run with heels, I try and push myself, any sort of like training I do. You know what I mean, I think I would die on the running machine or, you know what I mean, doing some training. I love training, but I've got to pace myself and, you know what I mean, just take it easy and relax. But I train every day. That's the only thing I know. And I've got all the equipment where I don't have to go to a gym. But I go to the health farm when it's open. I've got a 24-hour gym 4 minutes away from me. So I'm always on the go training.
Do you love it, Frank? Do you love training or do you feel like...
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. And I get the hump if I don't train. You know what I mean? The endorphins that you get by getting a good session out of you. You know what I mean? When you was boxing, you was super fit, but when you're super fit, you feel right. You know what I mean? When you're running, you come back from a good run and it's just a nice buzz.
Yeah. Frank, I've got to tell you, my mum bought me your book for Christmas 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
A huge inspiration to me. I know thousands of others, and your journey is one. Having watched you from when I was a kid, to see someone of your stature talking so openly about mental health and the journey you've been on, I massively appreciate it. And I just wanted to say thank you for that, because it meant a huge amount to me, and I know lots of people share that sentiment.
Thank you. Very kind of you, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers.
And I guess exercise as well. It's one thing that's great for your mental health, isn't it?
Oh, because you've got to condition yourself. You know what I mean? You've got to know how to condition yourself. But training is conditioning yourself. You know what I mean? Try all different, shock your body and all different things. You know, things that you don't want to do, or press ups, or go on the rowing machine. You got the things you don't like, you do more of. You know what I mean? Like the bike, with the air bike and the hills on the running machine, or go out and walk up in the children's. You know what I mean? I love getting that in the fresh air as well.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Anything else, Carl, from you, mate?
No, it's been an absolute privilege to speak to you, Frank.
Nice, Carl, and respect, sir. Cheers. Thank you. Nice to speak to you as well.
Thank
you, young man.
Cheers, Frank. Enjoy the action on Saturday. So BT Sports Night of Heavyweight Boxing on the 28th of November begins with Daniel Dubois and Joe Joyce on BT Sport 1 from 7:30. Tyson versus Jones Jr. will be live on BT Sport box office at 1 a.m. and can be watched on BT TV, Virgin TV, Sky, online via the web, or the BT Sport box office app. To all of both fights, you can head to btsport.com/boxing. Carl, Frank, an absolute pleasure. Enjoy the action.
Carl. Cheers. Thank you. Cheers. Thank you. Cheers, Carl.